Okay. Starting. Nice. Hey!
You are live. Woo!
The internet can totally see you now. Hey! What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first live stream with Project Atticus. We're so super stoked. This is literally our first time doing a live stream, so we actually have no idea whatsoever if you're seeing us or not. So especially with this, especially with this go around, please
be patient. Be nice to us.
Be patient.
We'll probably have some problems, lots of technical difficulties. We're already experiencing a lag right here, so just go with us.
Although we got Ice Spock on the line here. What's up, Ice Spock? How you doing, man? Or girl? Anyway, so guys, we're gonna have a little bit of a structure with this live stream today. What we're planning on doing is we're gonna go over a handful of like pre-put together material. We're gonna answer a couple of questions that people have asked through our comments. Iceback says, "See you good here in Sweden." Woo! Dude, that is awesome. I wish I knew how to say awesome in Sweden. Icepack, when you get, there's a little bit of a delay here, so let me know how you say awesome in Sweden while I finish my thoughts. Swedish, sorry. Awesome in Swedish. So anyway, I'm super excited. Oh, first of all, cheers, everybody. This is a drinking live stream, so feel free to bust out your drinks. So we've got a little bit of a structure that we're going to go over. We've got some comments we want to highlight from viewers. We've got some questions that we want to talk about, and then we're just going to totally open it up. But while we are discussing certain topics, we're specifically going to address people who are bringing up questions that are relevant to the topic that we're discussing. So just so you guys are totally aware, and then at the very end of the live stream, we'll just do a free-for-all, whatever you guys think, whatever you want to say.
Unless you have like a really badass comment or question, then we're just going to jump straight to that because I'm all about sticking to you guys.
So we got Doug Vaughn. Yeah, we got D.V. Zire. Hello from Ireland. Boy, that sounds like Desiree. Or Desire.
My soul sister or soul brother. I don't know.
All right.
So a lot of you guys have been asking where have we been for the last 9 months. That Dutch guy 3 weeks ago said, "What happened in Cuba? You got arrested by the Revolutionary Guards of Raul Castro and put in prison or something?"
That did not happen. That would have been awesome. In a way. For the channel, it would have been awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people thought we got stuck in a Cuban jail. Todd P. said, "What happened to you guys? You in Cuba jail?" Another person said, "Are you prisoners of war?" No, we've just been working really hard. Once we left Sarasota, we kind of had to face a decision of whether we wanted to go out and sail with only $2,000 in our bank account or if we wanted to stick around the United States for another season and work for another year. And we were, getting really down on ourselves, so we decided let's just go for it and we'll try to find work as we go. So we ended up finding work in Isla Mujeres. We've been doing lots of boat work, so we've been super, super busy. Exploring a little bit on the side, which is really exciting because we got some cool footage from the Yucatan. Yeah, now we're back on videos and we're really excited about season 2.
That's awesome. And I do want to interrupt. Ice Spock just got back. Apparently, the way you say awesome in Swedish is grimt bra. So, Ice Spock, please let me know if I pronounced that right. If I did, I'm going to be saying that all the time because that's awesome. That's grimt bra? Okay. All right, what's next, Desiree?
All right, well, let's go straight into some of the questions we've been having. Some people sent us some questions that they wanted us to go over.
Real quick.
Oh, wait, no. First of all, we want to give a shout out to Off Planet Event for being our most persistent YouTube subscriber in all of history. So on our last video, I'm just going to read like a stream of comments from him. Come on, dude, give an update. You still alive? Same video. 1 month later. I checked your website. Nothing since June. I just emailed you too. 4 months ago. Off Planet Event. Any updates? Finally, 7 months ago. Where the fuck are you guys? So sorry we've been so long and getting back to you guys, but Off-Planet Event, thanks for sticking around with us.
Off-Planet Event, you rock.
Here's to you.
This is an Atticus cheers to Off-Planet Event. Thanks for being vocal, man. We love it. Oh, hey, Kent's in the house. What's up, Kent? How you doing?
Oh, you made it.
Yeah.
Stay safe on your drive.
Oh, man, and now we got somebody from Finland. So,
Wow.
okay, that's the next one. Atiliana Sailing. We want to know, how do you say awesome in Finnish? And as I understand it, Finnish is pretty darn different from the other languages that I'm familiar with. So I'm excited to hear what it is.
Jordan is working in the boatyard right now, and he has a team of 4 locals that he's working with, and they're teaching him a little bit of Spanish. So he's brushing up on his Spanish a little bit.
Mahatava. Oh, I'm sorry.
Matava.
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 Alan, hello to North Carolina from Isla Mujeres. Glad to have you. And all of you guys, everyone, all the girls, all the guys, you guys are all Matava. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Grimt, brah.
You're grimt, brah.
You guys could totally tell us anything to say in your own language, and we would not have any idea.
Dude, Sam and Christoph. Okay, so hold the phone, everybody. My 2 nephews are on the live chat right now. And let me tell you something. These 2 guys are so freaking good looking. Oh my gosh. I would feel bad for if any of you guys could meet these 2. They're just so amazingly good looking. They just got that long blonde hair. It's not too long. You know what I mean? Just crazy attractive. Yeah.
Also wanted to give a shout out to Kent Payne, who is our first #1 fan on Patreon. So thank you so much, Kent. Your contribution is going to go a long way, and we're really stoked to have you in our Patreon team. So I'm going to hop into one of the questions that we have from Wardell Junius on Facebook. He said, I would like to see a more detailed budget you guys are working with. Do you have assets? How much did you start Project Atticus with? Where are you financially now? So this could be kind of a long answer, but essentially we bought Atticus for $5,000. We had about $30,000 saved up between the 2 of us. And living in Key West cost us about $1,000 per month. So we blew
just to be in the boatyard.
Yeah. And
not
not
for
even,
anything else.
Yeah, not food or anything else.
This is a place where like a cheeseburger costs $12. So I mean, it's
more.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we burned through our savings very quickly. And when that happened, I started working on super yachts, and I would get about $200 a day plus tips if it was a charter. So we were able to kind of like maintain an equilibrium while I was away, but Jordan was working in the boatyard, slaving away on Atticus. So after that, I actually developed pretty bad tendonitis in my wrists, and kind of every time I found myself farther away from Atticus, it was just emotionally difficult to be away from the boat and try to remember why we were working so hard on it. So we just decided we need to find jobs in Key West where we can both work together and both kind of focus on our dream. So we got jobs working as captain and mate on charter boats in Key West.
Yeah, like charter catamarans, doing dolphin watching trips and snorkel trips. And that's sort of when we transitioned from doing like, you know, mostly working on Atticus to mostly working for money because we totally ran out of cash. So the best quick answer to this question, like to define our finances thus far has been like get just barely enough money to do what we need to do, spend it all, have a little mini panic attack, and then somehow figure out how to make a little bit more money. So it's been a very tumultuous couple of years. But yeah, eventually we got Atticus to the point where she was, you know, pretty much ready with a couple of projects that were still, you know, unfinished. So we both worked full time for a while, put away enough money to get out of Key West, and then made it all the way to Isla Mujeres when we were about to run out of money again. So we, and that's when we started working here. So that's why we're still here.
Real quick.
Yeah.
So in Key West, we were making $10 an hour as mate. Jordan was making $25 an hour as captain.
As a captain, but we were mostly making tips. That was the...
So like on a good day, we'd make I think our best day we made like $600 in a day. But those are like 15-hour days. And then our worst day, we made no tips. You know, it just depended. And then we also both started doing freelance boat work. Jordan was doing like fiberglass projects, paint projects, and he was charging $75 an hour.
40.
Okay, $40 an hour.
I wish it was $75 an hour. No, I would charge $40 an hour for actual like boat maintenance work, which is cool because the only reason I was able to do that work is all of the hours we spent working on Atticus. And Desiree, similar, she ended up doing a lot of canvas work for exactly the same rate, 40 an hour, because she was doing all the canvas on Atticus. So we actually had somebody talking recently about how we really had
I'll read his comment.
Yeah, we'll read the comment. While she finds it...
Joseph Rosler says, I get the point of buying a boat and working on it to get the boat of your dreams, but it seems like it seems like a $5,000 boat that takes 3 years for 2 people to fix is an extreme waste of resources.
And I would respond to Joseph, in fact, I already did, saying that, yeah, he's pretty much correct. Like, the idea of buying a boat that's extremely inexpensive is just going to cost you more money in the long run. But there's 2 elements to this. One is we came away with skills that we use on a regular basis. In fact, skills that we use to fund our adventures now. So that's it's hard to put like an actual monetary value to like skills that allow you to just travel and work wherever. Now, on top of that, we didn't have enough money to... I would value Atticus right now at probably around $40,000 or $45,000. If we really like were patient and waited for the right buyer, we'd probably sell it for about 40 grand. And we didn't have 40 grand. We didn't have that much money. So it all depends on how much money you do have, and in my opinion, how much knowledge you have. Because if you start sailing across oceans with a turnkey boat and you don't know anything about maintenance and how to fix things, that can be an extremely stressful situation. So I totally agree with Joseph. It was a waste of resources. I made more money and could have paid somebody else to work on the boat for the whole refit. But if I had done that, I would have known a whole lot more about charter boat captaining and a whole lot less about how to keep up a 30-foot sailboat. So we learned a lot through the experience, and it's really hard to like quantify like how valuable that is.
That being said, like talking about it now, we do wish we had worked maybe 1 more year and spent a lot more time researching the boat that we wanted, because Jordan had spent many years knowing that he wanted to sail around the world in a small boat. But it's kind of hard to figure out how to get started when you have a dream like that, like where to look for boats. He knew theoretically what kind of boats are seaworthy, but we quit our jobs and then literally started looking for the boat on Craigslist like the next week. So I always recommend if you're looking for a boat to buy, like keep your day job, start looking in your free time, go on like day sails, take some sailing lessons. If you can afford like a charter sail somewhere in like the Bahamas or the Caribbean with like a captain and a chef, go and do that so you like understand the lifestyle and kind of fall in love with it. So
yeah,
that's what I would say.
Absolutely. I want to address two comments we just got. One, first, DV Zaire, asking it, so our financial situation is like most people, which is very true. In fact, I would go as far as to say it's like most 1%ers in the world. 99% of people don't even nearly have the luxury that we have, but just scraping by, absolutely. And what DV Zaire, the point that they make is really perfect, is that we didn't come into this with debt, and that's so important. If you've got debt, then I mean, the sort of freedom that we have is unattainable. Working on yachts, both Desiree and I met a lot of people that were able to pay off their debt, because you can, if you're smart, you can put away quite a bit of money working on yachts, which anybody out there wants to work on yachts, please give us some messages and we'll give you some advice. But you're so right. We're incredibly lucky in the fact that we both got through our education and everything else relatively debt-free. Public education. I'm going to say that right now.
And also, I think that's, we've kind of been trying to ask people why you gravitate towards our channel and why you like what we put out. And I've heard from some people, maybe you guys agree with us, that like, you know, we're not particularly like super wealthy or super talented. We just have a lot of energy and we've got this drive, and you know, there's nothing really special about us other than we just kept to it, you know. So I don't know, I think the fact that we are living hand to mouth hopefully inspires people who are already living hand to mouth in their normal lives to try to transition that lifestyle to more in line with their dream or their adventure. That's
true. And in fact, a lot of you guys out there are going to know Bernard Matessier, one of the most famous, you know, sailors or cruisers ever. It was famous for having answered somebody's question when they asked, how much does it cost to cruise? And his answer was, everything you have. And I think that is the most poignant answer you could possibly make, because we meet people here that are spending all their money on, and they've got a ton on cruising because they're used to certain levels of luxury. And then you meet people like us where we're used to a certain level and we're spending everything we have. And then we meet people that have way less than us and they're still spending everything that they have. So that's pretty much how it works, is you end up spending just about everything you have, no matter what level of luxury you're at.
And what's up, David Turner? Tell your son we said hello. Glad he thinks our boat looked cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. And then Icebox real quick was asking how the woodwork's been holding up. So first of all, I've got to say to a lot of you guys that have been watching our Atticus updates from the beginning, you'll know that my father was deeply involved in a lot of the woodwork on the boat. So I got to give a shout out to him, tell you guys it wasn't all me. But secondly, our woodwork is holding up well. There's a definite need for some varnishing. We need to do some maintenance coats. But other than that, it's all holding up. And we'll talk about this in a later live stream. But that strategy of an epoxy, you know, clear coat as a base, and then all bright from an all grip product is on top of that. That's been working really, really well for us.
Yeah, we've been really rough with our wood, and we actually had an episode where we left our shades down one day and there was a storm that came through and it was just knocking against the companionway. And it did kind of impact our varnish a little bit, but considering we haven't done any woodworking bright work for like 2.5, maybe 3 years, 2.5 years. It's doing really great.
It's been at least 2.5.
Yeah.
2.5. Who's ever heard of varnish holding up 2.5 years?
It's crazy.
Yeah,
we
so
do need to get on it. Probably like in the next year we should touch it up a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so let's move on to the next.
Okay, well, let's say Sailing Naughty Ohana. So awesome you guys could make it. Thanks for joining us.
And Zorn.
Needs more cowbell, true.
I would love to give you more cowbell. Oh my gosh. What a great pop culture reference. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Well, I'm just going to finish up the financial question, which is
let's get back to that.
Where are you financially now? So Jordan and I ended up in Isla Mujeres, and you'll see this in our episode. I don't really want to spoil anything, but should I talk about Milagro?
What?
Milagro.
What about it?
Should I talk about what happened?
Oh, no. Let's just talk about finance.
Well,
we don't want to spoil the surprise of some of the more stupid things that we do in our episode.
Okay, well, we had some kind of disaster happen when we came to Isla Mujeres, and it led us down the dock, asking for a captain who does, he actually sails around the world and does welding work. And so it was really fortunate for us because it was like exciting to meet someone who actually has a trade and is able to finance his sailing on his own boat. So he has like a welding station set up and like a really sweet tool room, and it's just like the coolest boat ever. And he kind of inspired us to try to start looking for work in Isla Mujeres, and he hooked us up with my first sewing job, Jordan's first rudder job.
And by rudder job, like we literally had to rebuild a rudder for somebody that ran into a reef, which we both, John and I, ended up doing 4 of those total throughout the summer. So apparently Isla Mujeres is a really popular place for people to limp to once they've totally destroyed their rudder. And it makes sense geographically if you look at it.
Mm-hmm. So I started charging $40 per hour to do canvas work, and Jordan's been charging $40 an hour to do like fiberglass and painting work. And we've managed to make enough money to survive and then save up a little bit for projects that we needed.
The tough part about doing that work here is we'll charge $40 an hour, but you can only charge for the, I mean, I'm going to be speaking to the choir to a lot of people here, but like, you can only charge for the time that you're actually working. The amount of time that you're consulting, you're talking, you're getting your tools together, you're going over there, you spend an 8-hour day and you can charge for probably 5 hours, maybe 6 if you're lucky. Yeah. So it's not as lucrative as it sounds.
Yeah, and plus when you're contracting, part of it is just connecting with people, so a lot of the time is just kind of networking, going to people's boats, making them like realize that you're just a normal person, and you know, showing them pictures of your work. So it takes a long time, and you can't charge people for like hanging out with them.
Right.
Can I just say this is a cool comment?
Yeah.
Does DV? I don't know how. Can you give
DV
me
Zyre?
DV Zyre. Really? Anyways.
DV Zyre, let us know how to pronounce.
Yeah, because I want to pronounce your name correctly.
Give us the phonetic.
Yeah. Anyways, he says, I really like what seemed to be a change of style in your recent video, much more personal about yourselves rather than a quick overview of the ongoing projects on the boat that you used to do a lot of. Thank you. That really means a lot to us. We have always wanted to do episodic storytelling videos, but when we were in the boatyard, we switched over to Atticus updates, and we were actually really sad about it, but it seems like a lot of people like that format, but we're really happy to finally be able to go back and go through all of our footage and like put together a cohesive story for you guys, because I feel like what we experienced was I don't know, really unique and life-changing. So I'm glad you guys get to see it with us.
Okay, so DV Zyre is now Dave.
Dave. Okay, that works.
Thank you, Dave. you are the man. Titan Clans, hello. We are super glad to have you. What kind of name is DV? Coffee Fish, we will have to get into that another time. So, and I was just going to add about our finances. While we were cruising, we were successfully getting by with, I'd say it was probably an average of $1,200 a month, wouldn't you say?
What was it? Sorry, I was distracted.
While we were cruising, it was about $1,200 a month.
Yeah.
So we were on a like super budget, and that's for us. You know what I mean? Like we were still like drinking cocktails in the evening and, you know, eating good food. But we were getting by at about on a $1,200 a month budget. And that's kind of what we're projecting in the future as well. Now that is given that we had just finished our refit. So we had very few things, relatively few things going wrong. I can imagine that in a year or two, after a lot of the systems that we were able to rebuild are starting to get older and start to break down, that budget will increase a little bit. That is one of the really nice things about doing a total refit before you start cruising. If you buy a boat that needs absolutely everything and then you rebuild it from the ground up, you're going to get a year or two with pretty much no major problems. I mean, there's always going to be something, but almost everything on Atticus is either brand new or it's been completely rebuilt. So, yes.
I'm just going to interrupt some cool comments. Hello from Tahiti. How cool. We're excited to go there soon.
Oh my gosh, dude. You got to look us up when we get there. We're hoping to cross the Pacific this next year, so we will see you there.
Yeah, I will cook you dinner.
That's true.
Let's see. Sailing Ohana says, love the new format. That's awesome. We have heard a couple of people who say they want us to return to the Atticus updates. So we're trying to kind of balance that because, in our opinion, the Atticus updates just aren't that, I don't know, elegant as an episodic story-driven format. But that's why we wanted to do live chats, and if enough people want more Atticus updates, we'll start doing more.
We should make that clear. We've talked a lot about this, and we both really enjoy making high-quality weekly videos with high production value, but we don't want to give up that sort of personal touch that the Atticus updates allowed us. So I think this is going to be our solution for that. We're going to do live chats as frequently as we can, and that will hopefully give us that sort of like personal connection to you guys. Forgive me for making a plug for Patreon, but that's actually the first thing we're going to invest in, is start buying like 3G connections to our phones and whatnot once we get enough investment, so that we can start doing live chats from the boat at anchor. That's one of our major goals. So anyway, again, please forgive me for even mentioning that, but that's kind of where we're going to go. That's the direction we'd like to go in. There's a couple of comments here I'd like to mention. First of all, No Job, which first, great name, love it. Where was it? Oh, you said, wow, I could eat steaks and lobster 3 times a day on $1,200 a month. No Job, you're totally right. I mean, like, we have met so many people cruising on less money than us, and we've met so many people cruising on more money than us. It is a total spectrum, and it just depends on where you fit in that spectrum. So, I mean, we've met people cruising on just several $100s a month. I mean, literally, just bare bones, and they're having a great time. So, if anything can be learned from that, it's just do it, really. I mean, the hard part is getting the boat ready. Once the boat's ready, you can pull off some pretty amazing stunts.
And I think we started cruising in Cuba, which was really expensive, so we weren't eating out at all. Like, we'd be going to these famous monuments, and I'd just pack away like a little sandwich, and we'd be in the corner just eating our little wrap.
Hashtag just do it. Nice, Gio.
Just do it, yeah. So anyways, like, I think the $1,200 a month maybe was... most of it is always food, actually, so maybe we could just do better eating less or figuring out how to spend less money on food. But we're really into fresh vegetables, and I can't... What's going on?
What are you looking for? You want to see yourself?
Okay. I want to see myself.
Sorry.
I can't see myself. What's happening? Sorry. And then also I wanted to bring up a comment that I saw that was cool.
It's right. You can scroll right here.
Oh, somebody asked about Below Deck, and we both know people from the show.
We were not on Below Deck.
We weren't on it, although the first 2 seasons of Below Deck were filmed on a boat called Motor Yacht Ohana, which I did work on. So it was funny because when we were working on that boat, we'd actually have to watch the videos from Below Deck to figure out where some things were like stowed, and we were like, oh, that's what that was for. Because when I worked on it, it was with the new owner. I know Adrian, I think she was a chef on one of the first 2 seasons. And then I knew Wes, and he's a cute Kiwi world traveler, and I worked with him on another boat called Relentless. So we do have friends still in the yachting world, and we definitely still get inquiries on deliveries and short jobs here and there. But for the most part, we're going to keep that as our plan, like D, once we get really desperate, because my wrist just is not strong enough to do what I used to be able to do, and it's really sad. But at least that means we're more resourceful, and we have to figure out a way to find work here. So getting back to the financial question.
Real quick, can I just answer something?
Sure.
Dave, was DVZI or Dave?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I have a very bad short-term memory. So Dave, really good point. Atticus updates could go straight to Facebook. I think that's what we're going to do. So thank you for that sort of reinforcement of an idea that we had. I think that's where we're going to go with.
Yeah,
that.
and
so
we'll probably do Facebook and Patreon.
Yeah. Okay, but continue with your thought.
So once we got to Isla Mujeres, I started charging $40 an hour for sewing. Jordan does $40 an hour for boat work. Jordan also started writing for Cruising World, so we've got another article coming out.
True,
which is
yeah.
Exciting.
if you guys read Cruising World, our first article came out,
like
about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then our next article, I actually haven't heard from the editors. They bought the story. I have no idea when they're going to publish it. So
stand by.
Maybe it's published already. I haven't read the latest couple issues. So.
But that story is about kind of our struggle to decide if we should start sailing with very little money or if we should wait around and hunker down and be responsible and, you know, save up for another year. And we decided to just screw it and go sailing, and we're pretty happy with our decision. It is hand to mouth. It is really stressful sometimes, but we've met great people. We've met people who are doing it with way less than we're doing, so it is possible.
As Andrew Baumgartner, Andrew Baumgartner was saying $1,200 a month is easy. Sailboat Story did the Bahamas for way less, and they had a kid with them. Absolutely, Andrew. In fact, if you want to get really relativistic, you can start talking about how people live for $1 a day all over the world. So, like, the idea being, it just depends on what sort of lifestyle you want to live. And we are definitely not living a luxurious one. But I'll tell you this, we do buy good food. Like, we don't eat a lot of pasta. We don't eat a lot of rice. We actually buy vegetables and meat and stuff like that. We do drink beer. We do drink cocktails. So if we were to totally cut our alcohol habit and start like eating way more carbs and less vegetables and meat, we could cut down on our budget big time. I mean, to a point where we could make it incredibly small. But the point is that there is a scale essentially, and we we without a doubt fall on the lower end of the scale. Anyway. Cool. What's next?
We got a second straight to Facebook. That's good to know. We're happy about that.
Cool, that's super helpful.
We were talking about that for a while. No job. I'm going to be bipolar, going to 3 places to keep up with you. Sorry about that.
No job. I think you're awesome, though. Please stick around. I really enjoy your comments.
Get a reflux still and make your own spirits. That's a good point, too. Yeah. I mean, we pretty much...
Well, okay, for instance, like, this is a drink that I have all the time. Havana Club Tres Años. You can't get in the States. Well, maybe you can through certain means, but I mean, this thing is 180 pesos here. That's, oh, I'm sorry, no, this is 130 pesos here, which means it's just under like $8 for the whole bottle. This is rum, 40 proof, or I'm sorry, 80 proof, and it's delicious. I can drink it straight if I want to.
Thanks, Sailing Naughty Ohana. Okay, so I'm going to go to the second question. I don't think we missed any questions. If we did, just ask again. I'm sorry for missing it. Okay, Jason Bowles said, I'm interested in hearing how Atticus sails. Has the ketch rig and the full-keeled boat been what you've expected?
Okay, so I'm going to take on that one. So, guys, if you have any questions about how a ketch full-keeled sailboat sails, please ask him now. Perfect timing. I would say that the boat does poorly to windward, relatively, and that's a problem because when we're trying to sail all of the time, trying to sail upwind is a big concern, and it doesn't go very fast upwind. I'm going to try and put this into like layman's terms. So if you're a sailor out there, don't be like, dude, what are these phrases you're using? I'm going to try and put it in as much layman's terms as I can. The ketch does really well on a reach. And whether that's a close reach or a broad reach, beam reach, it does exceptionally well. Especially with our mizzen staysail, which a lot of you guys have seen that second little purple and teal spinnaker that we have off the mizzen mast. I mean, once we set that bad boy, the boat does really well on a reach. I would say the major issues, so I mean, let me put it this way. The pros are that none of the sails are too big. All of the sails are manageable by one person. Even if we were to lose like a halyard or a sheet or anything, we could manhandle that sail down, which is way more than you can say about most cruising sailboats. The other thing is that we have a redundancy in our spars. So let's just say that we lose our mizzen mast while crossing the Pacific for whatever reason. A squall comes through, we have some crevice corrosion and a turnbuckle we didn't know about, and then boom, we lose the main mast. We're going to have a second spar, a second mast, that we can, apply a jerry rig to. which is really helpful. The cons are that it doesn't do as well to windward, and you can't get as much of a solar array / a bimini aft of the companionway. So after the companionway, you've got this massive mast and boom and sail that you have to deal with. If it was a sloop or a cutter, we'd be able to have a massive amount of solar above the cockpit, and that could be integrated into our like sunshade / weather Dodger system. So that's why I very jealously look at like well outfitted cutters. So if we're gonna buy another boat ever, we would probably go with a cutter, because A, you've got a split sail plan, so you do have lots of options, versatility, but yet you also have that section aft above the cockpit where you can put solar, you can put wind turbines, you can create a nice enclosure with a bimini and a Dodger and all of that. So
yeah,
that's,
as the sewer, it's been kind of difficult dealing with that mast back there, and even figuring out a table situation when we have guests over. There's just this big mast right in the way of everything, so it's not ideal. How long is Atticus? It is 30 feet long, 30.5. On ocean passages, how many miles do you sail in 24 hours? Asks Peter.
I'm sorry, on ocean path, how many miles are you sailing? Okay, that's a good question. So, Peter, I would answer that by saying we actually haven't done many long passages yet. All of our passages have been between, 24 and 48 hours. So it's a tough question for me to answer in that sense. I'll tell you, I'll answer it this way. Our average speed, if we've got above 16 knots of wind, is 6.5 knots. So, well, I'll actually, let me bring that down. It's probably 6 knots. If we've got over 16 knots of wind, she'll do 6 knots dependably. And that's, for the most part, no matter what the sea state. Even if we've got, a bunch of chop that's kind of like slowing us down.
So 6 knots in 24 hours, that's
144 miles. 144 miles in a 24-hour period. But if it's less than 16 knots, then
6 knots.
Yep, 144. Thank you, Andrew. Man, nailed it. Good. Thank you, Andrew. I really do appreciate that.
Hey, SV Outcasts from Florida. Thanks for checking in with us.
SV Outcasts, while we're talking about this, what part of Florida? I'd like to know.
We never get that our boat looks bigger, so thank you.
Yeah, Iceback was just saying 30 feet looks way bigger. Thank you. It's funny because when people see it in real life, they're like pretty impressed by how small it is. Anyway, so once we get below 16 knots of breeze, then we really slow down, especially if we're hard on the wind. If we're downwind, it's okay. If we're on a beam, we can throw up that mizzen staysail and the cruising spinnaker that we have, and those will get us moving in just about anything. Atticus is an extremely heavy boat for its size. It's 12,000 pounds, or 6 tons, at 30 feet. So if you compare it to like the Alberg 30, the Alberg 30 is very similar to Atticus, except it weighs about 9,000 pounds, and it's a sloop. So what they did when they designed the Seawind is they pretty much took like an Alberg 30, so like a sloop design, made it 3,000 pounds heavier, and added the mizzen mast to compensate for the extra weight. So what you've got in Atticus is an extremely heavy 30-foot sailboat with a whole lot of sail area. Some might say a little bit too little sail area to sail effectively in light winds. I can tell you I can tack upwind all day in 8 knots of breeze. We're just not going to be moving very fast. So we can move in just about anything, but the question is how fast.
But I've heard we're not as slow as West sails, which I really wanted to get a West sail. After we bought Atticus, We went on like 2 friends' boats that were West Sails, and they're 32 feet, had so much space inside, and I was just like angry that we hadn't looked further for another boat. I've been surprised at how fast Atticus can go when. It feels really nice when we're just like cutting through the waves.
Well, and that's the really nice thing about the weight is the fact that she's so heavy. I mean, we haven't been in anything that didn't feel relatively smooth. There's so much mass there that the waves have to move that every motion is converted into a relatively smooth motion. So. And
we're sorry that it's gotten so dark. We're still trying to figure out a good place to do our Atticus updates, our live streams. So welcome to the dark side of Atticus.
Yep, sun went down, so sorry about that. So a couple of things. First of all, Sailing Vessel Outcast from Tampa. Awesome to have you guys. We had Atticus in Sarasota, and both of our parents live in Sarasota, so very, very close. We got Alan made a really good point. Atticus updates could be for maintenance-related issues, and then our actual weekly episodes could be about travel and adventure. Not a bad idea. No Job says, "Wow, that's heavy." It is heavy. It is a heavy boat. Yeah. The nice thing about the weight, not only is it a smooth ride, but as you get lulls in the wind speed, the boat will just carry on through. It's got so much momentum. It's not affected so much by small fluctuations in the wind speed. So another really nice thing. Once you get her going, she stays going.
Wandering the Wanderlust, good name, says, "Do you need a passenger, please? LOL." And our boat is just so small that we've kind of decided that we have like a 2-night rule on our boat, even if like it's the bestest friend of Jordan or mine. After 2 days living on a boat that is that small with 1 head, no shower, 2 days is kind of our limit. So I know, I'm sorry.
No, but you should come have a beer with us. If you're planning a vacation, get in touch with us and we'll kind of coordinate where we will be and where you might be able to be. So, and that goes out to anybody. If you guys want to try and link up with us, please let us know.
Yeah, and we do have one of our Patreon rewards is trying to coordinate a sunset sail. That's out there as well. Right now, we don't have the budget to pay for you to get out to where we are, but if you happen to be where we are and you want to take Atticus out for a sunset sail with some friends, we are happy to do that. So, yeah, come find us. We'll take you on a sunset sail.
Okay.
Maybe not overnight, but maybe if we get a bigger boat.
Yeah. So what do we got next, Desiree? What's next on the agenda?
That is pretty much all of our questions.
Okay, cool. So then that's open forum, guys.
No, sorry. One more question.
Almost.
Dave Klaus wanted to know about the previous owner of Atticus and his story. So, unfortunately, Scott, the man who we bought Atticus from, passed away about 3 years ago. But his family has been super supportive of all of our adventures. Lisa, his sister, is welcome on our boat whenever she wants to come for 2 nights or a sunset sail. His brother, Clayton, has gotten in touch with us recently and actually sent us some photos of Atticus before we bought it. So that was really cool to see the interior of Atticus before we kind of dove in. So we're still kind of putting the pieces together about the history of Atticus, and it was really nice to hear from him. So unfortunately, Scott passed away, like I said, but the week when he was having kind of one of his worst weeks, I was actually in Fort Lauderdale for a yachting gig, so I gave him a call, asked if I can come visit him, and he said he wasn't feeling very well, so instead we just talked on the phone for about an hour. And that was the same week when we had submitted Jordan's article to Cruising World. So I sent him a bunch of pictures of the refit, and then I actually read the article over the phone to him, and we kind of like laughed and cried together. So that was really cool, and he got to experience Atticus going from where he left it to where we kind of picked up the pieces and added some more love to it. So long story short, Atticus has a lot of love in its history, and we feel it when we're on there. It's a good boat.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think we both were touched by the fact that Scott the previous owner was able to see a lot of the progress that we made and sort of see that we were going to get that boat up and running. So
Wandering the Wanderlust is a full-time photographer, though, and he will do the donkey work.
Yep. I saw. So okay, the next thing, Bruce T said that there's an article in the Sail magazine that talks about what makes a good blue water sailboat, and long keel and heavy displacement are high on the list according to the author. So Bruce, I couldn't agree with that statement more. We bought Atticus. We were a little bit rushed into buying the boat. We should have remained in the market for a lot more time, in my opinion. But there were a handful of things that I knew I wanted. And two of them were A, heavy displacement, and B, full keel. And let me tell you something. I couldn't agree more still after working in Isla Mujeres for the last 8 months. Like I said, we've rebuilt 4 rudders, and we've got another one that we're going to be doing in the next month. And the point is that exposed rudders are one of the largest setbacks for people while they're cruising, because everyone's going to run aground. Who doesn't? We already ran aground once in Cuba, which you will see in one of the episodes coming up. But if you have a rudder that's totally exposed, a spade rudder, I mean, that's going to be a problem. Now, if you've got a skeg, that's good, because you're going to have a portion of that rudder left after whatever happens, which is what happened with most of the boats that we've experienced here. They had a skeg, they damaged the lower half of the rudder, they made it to Isla Mujeres. I've never felt better about owning a full keel boat after all of these rudder jobs, because the full keel boat, you'll never have a rudder problem unless you're actively going in reverse when you run aground or hit a reef or whatever. So I'm a huge fan of the full keel, even though it's an antiquated technology. For people like me who are definitely going to screw up, it's a great option. And then heavy displacement, same thing. I don't need to go anywhere fast. I just want to go somewhere safe. So.
All right. So Wandering the Wanderlust, can we follow you online with a live location? We do have a Delorme tracking link for you guys. Right now, it's only for our patrons, but we're going to make it public soon and then switch out the patron reward to be merchandise, because we really want to give away as much content as possible for free. That's kind of our goal. But right now it's only for patrons, but that'll only be until we reach our 500 goal, which hopefully we get to soon.
Yeah, so once we start making merchandise, which will happen hopefully very soon, we'll start having our tracking 100% available for free. Real quick, I wanted to give a shout out to Paul Higgins. Paul, you've been a fan for a long time. You've made a lot of comments. I really appreciate you showing up tonight. That's awesome. He asked, have you ever had to deploy a sea anchor or drogue? I have not. And in fact, a sea anchor is something that we have on our wish list before we start our Pacific crossing. In a lot of ways, most boats would only have either a sea anchor or a drogue, because it's two different philosophies. The drogue being, if you're going to run downwind when you're in a really terrible storm, have a method to keep your boat from broaching, so have something trailing off the stern. The sea anchor being, stop your motion as much as possible, put your bow into the weather, and then have the sea anchor keeping you from broaching. Personally, I'm a fan of the sea anchor method. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we are a full keel heavy displacement boat. We wouldn't do very well going down, downwind in a storm. But at the same time, on top of that, I'm a big fan of keeping your bow into the weather, making it more comfortable, and letting the storm pass you. I'm big on Lynn and Larry Pardey and all of their philosophies on storms, especially their book Storm Tactics. So Paul, we haven't used a sea anchor. That's on the top of our list of things to get before we cross the Pacific.
And Zorn 101, good point. He says no one runs aground. People just.
I'll get it.
Okay.
Shoot, that's so funny. We just missed.
People just park on the rocks to watch the sunset during margarita hour.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, good
and
point.
then somebody asked, can you tell us more about your Patreon? And yeah, essentially we decided to join Patreon mostly because we were getting a lot of aggressive emails and messages from our YouTube subscribers and Facebook subscribers, people telling us, you know, since we work so hard, we should really consider getting on Patreon so that they, as viewers, can give us a little bit of a boost.
And that's literally, we had a fan tell us, like, stop working, make videos full time, and get on Patreon.
That being said, we're not on Patreon so we can just stop working and be lazy.
But we're on Patreon so we can make videos as often as we can. I mean, literally full time. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
buddy.
so essentially we got to Mexico and we were making not a lot of money, but enough money to get by and to save up for some projects that we had. And we realized that we just didn't have that much time to actually edit any of our videos. So we kind of sat down and had this like come to God moment when we were like, should we even continue with the videos at all? And we both love sharing our experiences. Jordan studied film in college. I worked in startups and sales and marketing, so I love social media. And we just decided, you know what, like we both really enjoy putting our heart and soul into Project Atticus more than we do working for a random job here and there. So Patreon is a way for you guys to become our bosses, and it's not, you know, we've gotten a couple of messages, you always do, about like e-beggars or, you know, people just like being lazy who, you know, want to live their dream and have other people pay for it. And we just want to stress that if you don't want to contribute on our Patreon page, that's totally cool with us. We just want to create great content for as long as we can. If you want to help us produce consistent weekly episodes, you can consider becoming a patron.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really want to stress the fact that we're not dependent on this working. Ooh. If Patreon doesn't work out, we will continue to cruise, and we will just do fiberglass and canvas projects. And we've had a lot of people commenting on this. We are doing Patreon to actually feel out if people want our videos enough for us to do it full time. It's literally our way of finding that out. So if people do, we'll do it full time. If not, then we'll start to have to, you know, gradually bring it back to a part-time thing. Mm-hmm. And that's all it comes down to. Mm-hmm. So anyway, but we love doing this, and we're super happy to have you guys here with us talking about it too.
Cool about learning how to make your own, let's see, a sea anchor. That would be, I could probably make one.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
We do watch other YouTubers. We watch Trio Travels. We actually met them. We watch Zingaro. We met them.
We love Sailing Uma too, who Bruce brought up. Yeah, absolutely.
And then we met, we love Venture Lives. We think their photography and videography is just so freaking gorgeous.
Their style is amazing.
And we connected with them when we were in the heat of the summer in Key West, and they were sending us pictures of icebergs in Alaska. So not Alaska. Where were they? Alaska. Yeah. So that was really cool to connect with them. We love connecting with other sailing channels. Did I mention Zingaro already? Mm-hmm. Yeah. We did actually some sail work for Zingaro.
Desiree did a sail repair for Zingaro, which again is coming up in an episode.
Yeah, and it's almost been an hour, guys. So we're gonna answer one more question, and then we're gonna let you guys get back to your daily lives, and we're gonna try to do a live stream every week. So please come back and bring your questions.
So yeah, every Monday, as long as we're in Isla Mujeres and we have this dependable internet, we're gonna be doing our little beer-a-thons, drinking evening cocktail live stream. So every Monday, grab a six-pack and come join us.
So I thought a really good question to end on would be top 3 books about sailing.
Yeah, real quick, Zorn, Nigel Calder's Boat Owner's Mechanical and Electrical Manual is amazing. Is absolutely amazing.
So would that be one of your top 3 books?
Okay, are we going to make it like technical books or...
They said top 3 books about sailing.
Top 3 books about sailing. Okay,
I gotta put in mine about... Okay, it's not about sailing, so it's about canvas work. Never mind.
Well, just say it. Say it for now. That'll be on top of it.
Canvas for cruisers is... If you're going to have a sailboat and you're going to be sailing around the world and you want to be self-sufficient, Canvas for Cruisers explains everything in layman's terms. Anyone who can read can create an amazing awning. So I would suggest Canvas for Cruisers.
And the great thing about that book is that they're giving you explicit instructions about like very common projects. So it's most likely whatever project you have in mind is in that book.
And also, thanks, Dave, for getting people to thumbs up this video. That's
Dave,
really sweet.
You're like my new best friend, man. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this together from now on. I really hope you're able to make it every Monday.
I forgot how to say cool or awesome. It was like...
We'll have to get back to that. It's way up at the top.
Okay. Nice. Oh, cool. They bought it based on our suggestions.
Awesome.
Don't you love that book? Isn't it not
Sailing
amazing?
Naughty Ohana. Nice. So, okay. So, three favorite books on sailing. I'd have to say Beth Leonard's Voyager's Handbook is, I believe, what it's called. That book is amazing. She did such a good job of, like, quantifying a lot of, like, what generally is just anecdotal, which I would say Nigel Calder's Boat Owner's Mechanical and Electrical Manual did as well. So I have to put those two up there. Beth Leonard's Voyager's Handbook, and then Nigel Calder's, what I just said, it's too long to repeat. But Beth Leonard particularly, and the whole book is written with like these 3 boats in mind, and one is about like a budget cruiser, one is in the middle, and one is like more expensive with a higher budget. And she sort of goes through every scenario, whether it's cooking, designing your or refitting your boat, or figuring out your sail plan. I mean, absolutely everything that you could imagine, she applies it to those 3 different boats. So whether you're, no job, or whether you're the guy I'm working with over here, you're working for.
With hot water and
yeah, exactly.
maker.
Like, it doesn't matter what level of that spectrum you're at. They're kind of giving you the information for all those different, levels. Nigel Calder is amazing because he gives you like kind of more of the math behind everything. Like, he's my go-to guy, especially when it comes to like anchoring and choosing like anchor gear and choosing like everything about your anchoring system. Stuff like that he does really well because he's going to bring it all down to the math, but then he's going to simplify it for you so that you don't have to do it, which I have a terrible time doing that kind of stuff. And then my last one would be gosh,
While you're thinking about it, I don't think we've read the novel BOFA or BOFA, but we will put it on our reading list. We both are avid readers, so that would be awesome. Looks like 2 people asked about that. And then, you know what's funny about She'll Cross an Ocean is that a lot of people have recommended that book to us. And a friend of ours bought it for one of our wedding presents, but it got stuck in a P.O. box somewhere in Key West. So we still haven't had a chance to read that book, but really excited to. Man, I guess we have to read this Bofa novel. Let's see. Thanks. Can you speak English? Post the books. No Jobs Old. Yes, and we do love Don Casey's book. It was great for us to like hop in knowing absolutely nothing.
Don Casey's book is really good if you know nothing. I disagree with a lot of his stuff. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Particularly, like, one example is with bedding compounds. Like, he suggests you put sealant under some hardware, fasten it like sort of tight, and then the next day coming back and fastening it the rest of the way. In my opinion, that's definitely not the correct way of doing it, because by adjusting the tightness of the fasteners, you're breaking that seal with the substrate. So anyway, there's a handful of things that I disagree with Don Casey on. If you are just getting into this stuff, I lived on that boat for I lived on that book for like a year. Everything that we did every single day, we would break that bad boy open. So
this is an interesting question. How has sailing changed your views on the world and life? I'm sure you have discussed this in your videos, but curious. Do you mind if I hop in?
Go ahead.
So I would say sailing has taught me that the world is indifferent to your survival. And it really made me aware that no matter how good of a person you think you are or driven, you can't depend on some luck that things are going to work out for you. You really just have to put the hard work in and learn how to get out there and put yourself in situations that will make you happy. So yeah, I guess like there have been so many times when we've been in rough seas, and for us, I mean, it hasn't even been that rough, maybe like 40 knots. I'm sure we'll experience rougher seas, but in those moments, it makes me realize how small and insignificant we are, but also at the same time how lucky we are to be this age and to have the same dream and to be able to experience life in a totally different way than a lot of people do.
And so I totally agree with Desiree's premise, but I would put it slightly differently, that when most Americans, probably most people in Sweden, most people in Finland, definitely most people in first world countries, like they grow up with a dependence on society. Like they have these certain, and me too, Desiree too, like you grow up like assuming that like, well, this certain thing can't happen because society has these like structures in place to keep really, really bad stuff from happening. Once you start cruising, once you start doing ocean passages, and especially once you start, doing long distance ocean passages, which we haven't done yet, the whole point is to leave society behind. I mean, that's integral with why you're doing it. But what comes with that is you're losing that entire safety net, the entire thing. And when you start cruising at first, I think it's overwhelming. You never realized how much you relied on that safety net and how it's only you now. There's nothing but you. You know what I mean? You break a bone, you get an infection. You know what I mean? You somehow like spoil your water reserves. I mean, like all that kind of stuff. There's no longer like some bureaucracy that you can appeal to. It's literally you and the preparations that you made and the skills that you have, and that's it. And that's what I love about it. I mean, I love like rugged individualism, but it's also really overwhelming as well. So I agree, that's probably the main thing that we've learned from it. There's been nights when like Desiree's on watch in the middle of the night in the middle of the ocean, and I come up to relieve her, and I kind of ask her how she's doing, and we both just have this sort of feeling of like, whoa, we're on this tiny little thing cruising along in the middle of this immense body of water, and it's just us. And it's just us, and we're relying on how good of a job we did during the refit. And it's an empowering and yet scary feeling.
Pretty scary. Anyways, that was an awesome question to end on, so thank you so much. That's a great question, Boost Brothers. No Job, Alan 8700, Ice Pack, Dave, thank you, Ken Payne, Ohana Sailing. Thank you so much for checking in with us. We're so happy to be here.
Real quick, the third book, I was trying to remember it for like the last 10 minutes. It's Instant Weather Forecasting by Alan Watts. That book is so good at getting you started at understanding how to look at the sky.
Is that the one with photos?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like Instant Weather Forecasting by Alan Watts is this book that comes with mostly photos and then like relatively brief descriptions, and it's saying like if you see something like this in the sky, like these are the possible situations that you're actually looking at from like a larger scale of weather. So that's my third book. Sorry. Okay.
No, that's cool. No, we're just going to let you guys get back to your daily lives.
Desiree's mother just hopped on board. Hey,
Mom,
see you.
Nice to see you. Thanks for checking in. If we ever end up in Santa Cruz, which we probably will because Jordan has family there, we will definitely let you buy us a beer. That would be amazing.
Who's in Santa Cruz?
Just Sail It.
Oh, dude. Just Sail It. Just Sail It. Please, comment us sometime soon because I'd love to know who you are and more about you.
And hello from Curacao and Sailing Naughty Ohana. Thanks again for popping in. Zorn says hi to my mom.
Zorn, you're awesome too. Zorn, you gotta come back to the next. We gotta see you on Monday.
Yeah, and then also last thing, if you guys have anything that you really, really want to see us do, or you have any feedback for us, whether it's positive or negative, we're really trying to not be defensive about the negative feedback. We really just want to make a nice community, and we want to kind of show you what we're going through, not out of a pride stance, but just out of like, hey, we're normal people, this is what we're doing. So please just be vocal and let us know what you like and what you don't like.
Absolutely.
Send us a message anytime, and we will catch you guys next week.
Okay, I literally love every single one of you. So.
Aw, thanks, Dave. You're awesome. I think our 40 thumbs up came from you.
Dave, dude, Dave. Oh, God, Dave, love you. You're so awesome. Okay.
All right, guys, I gotta cook dinner now.
All right, that's it, guys. We will see you next week. Bring the beer, and we'll bring the chit-chat.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care, guys.
See you guys.